learn how to draw an eye using simple materials like copy paper, okay, and pencil. That's it. So it's not really my style lately. I like doing realistic, and that was the beginning of my career, doing realistic portraits. But where I really get a lot more fun is by doing my characters. And I call it like my dolls. And I get to do anything, like this one is going to be a mermaid. And here I created a bunch of characters for this book. And some of them were, just realistic pictures. Like, let's say this turtle right here. Okay, that was pretty realistic. And then I added the trash right around it. So getting the foundation, of how to draw something realistic or almost realistic, getting that composition right is the foundation, is the basics for you to be able to do anything you want to do. If you want to create a character later, so you can write a book, or whatever it is that you have in mind. So doing the realistics and anatomically correct sketches is the foundation, for creating your characters. Alrighty, so let's get started. Okay, so today we're going to start by drawing an eye, and I took a picture of my own eye, and I'm using the Procreate app, so I can do this, but you can use a paper and a transparent paper over it to make a grid if you need to, or just draw right on top of it. So for now, the grid that comes to mind is, just lining up this and that, see how it lines up. So let's make like a square here. All right. And this is just to get a good idea of, actually, let me do this one here a little closer to the eyelashes. All right, like that. And then another one to the eye right there. And then let's do another one to the top of the eyebrow. All right, let's do it to where it's a little bit closer and like that. Okay. And then I think that's pretty much all we need. Okay, so that's good. So what I'm looking for is a pencil that draws a little lighter, and this is what I'm using right now. You don't have to use exactly this brand, but what I'm looking for is a lighter color, okay? And then this one here is going to give me a heavier color, heavier saturation, okay? That's what I'm looking for. And I like these erasers that you can, just kind of like play with. I think that what they do is erase in a cleaner way, and you can make a point if you need to have a corner. All right, so let's get started with this. So I'm going to go ahead and draw this grid that I formed here, and it looks like these two are about the same. Okay, and this is just right for the reference. Okay, here we go. At the beginning, when you're doing this drawing, you may feel a little overwhelmed, but just keep it very simple and do the lines as close as you can to what you actually see. Keep in mind like the little swoops and the little dips, that kind of thing. And this is where I used the lighter colored pencil, so that way it's not so saturated, and I can come in with my heavier, darker pencil, and I can do things that are more defined. Once I kind of figured out where things are going to go, then I come back and I give more definition with the darker pencil. In this case, I know that I'm going to be able to erase, so I'm not too worried about leaving open spaces. Let's say back in the day when I was a tattoo artist, you had to always keep in mind not to, like there's no eraser, so you had to make sure that those white spaces or negative spaces were going to be always negative, like negative of ink or negative of any pencil marks or whatsoever. So here I'm not worried about that because I'm going to use the eraser to do all the little highlights. And hopefully you guys are doing this with your own eye. Don't spend time looking for a model's eye or whatever, just do your own eye. And I would love to see what it came out like. So hopefully I'll see it in the comments. And of course, if you guys need to ask me any questions, put it in the comments and I'll be answering them as soon as I can. Also want to announce to you guys that I am putting together a class with more details on the materials and other details when it comes to drawing and painting and creating characters. So this is going to be in school. I'm putting it together now as we speak of. So you're going to see the availability of finding me in school and taking classes that are a little bit more in depth with all of these subjects. And make sure you test your pencils, like on the side there, you see how I'm testing the pencils to see how saturated or how soft they are or how hard they are. They're all these different grades. Pencils are not what I normally use. I normally like to paint do acrylics and do oil paintings, but this is a fun exercise. This, I guarantee you're going to get a lot out of doing a pencil sketch of your own eye or your own face. And take it easy. Don't think that this is going to immediately look amazing, because that's not how it goes. As you add, as you blend, things are starting to convey, the picture is starting to reveal itself little by little and better every time. So be very patient when you're doing one of these exercises. You can use your own fingers for blending these pencils, or you can use a paper towel, which I ended up getting a paper towel, and blending all these pencils a little bit better. And when you're using the eraser, remember to just form a little corner, and that will help you get the little tiny spaces a lot better. And you see how all of a sudden things are starting to reveal a lot better. And please like, subscribe, and hit the notifications when it comes to YouTube. This is how we advance. And it's a free way of supporting your YouTube video artist. So thank you for that in advance. And if you guys are curious to know how long this took me from start to finish before I sped up the video, I did everything like in 30 minutes. So it was not really that long. And you stop for a minute, you pause and you look at it, and then you say, oh, okay, I could use a little bit here and I could use a little bit there. And that's how that goes. You don't think of how the outcome is going to be. Just handle what you have in front of you and do the best job that you can do. Don't worry about being so precise. That's not what it's about. It's about having a good time doing this exercise. And with that said, thank you guys for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you guys on the next show. Okay, thank you. Bye.